Welcome everybody. We are live in the WEIU TV studio. I'm Keanne Armstrong and I'm joined with
Wanda K. Robinson, and we are so excited to bring Sullivan, This Is Our Story to the world tonight.
We're so happy to be here tonight. We've been at this journey for what, 7 months now?
Over 7 months.
7 months now, but we're here live. We've got storytellers in the house with us tonight.
Yes.
We are abiding by COVID policy. We want you to know that's why our storytellers and our production staff all have masks on. We've been allowed to be able to talk to our viewers tonight without our masks on, but we are 6 feet apart,
yes,
and everybody else in here is as well. So we're so glad you're here with us tonight. We've got 17 stories, 16 storytellers,
yes,
and we are broadcasting to our entire viewing area. We're also streaming online at weiu.net locally, but we're also streaming across the world on Facebook. Our Facebook page is WEIU TV Public Broadcasting Station, and we're also on our YouTube channel.
We are so excited. We know you are in for the best treat tonight as you watch Sullivan, This Is Our Story.
Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Here comes your stories.
Yes.
Sullivan, This Is Our Story is brought to you in part by Friends of Sullivan Athletics and Academics is proud to help bring you Sullivan, This Is Our Story on WEIU. Over the last 29 years, we have worked to provide the students from kindergarten through 12th grade the finest possible athletic and academic programs. We hope you enjoy the show and the achievements of our town. Elizabeth Hauser Country Financial in Sullivan hopes you enjoy Sullivan. This is our story on WEIU. Sullivan was built by people who believe that hard work and careful planning could help them pursue their dreams. Enjoy the show from Elizabeth Hauser Country Financial. Metro Communications Company, providing fiber optic internet and telecommunications services to business and consumers in over 60 downstate Illinois counties, is proud to support WEIU and to call Sullivan our home. First Mid is a proud sponsor of Sullivan, This Is Our Story on WEIU, providing a full range of financial services such as banking, wealth management, and insurance. First Mid is ready to help you make every step in your life your best. First Mid in Sullivan hopes you enjoy the show. Hydro Gear is an active member of the Sullivan community and proud to be part of bringing you Sullivan, This Is Our Story on WEIU. Hydro Gear is a premier employer in Central Illinois and leading supplier worldwide in the lawn and garden equipment industry. Enjoy the show from all Hydro Gear employees, including Sullivan, Illinois, Princeton, Kentucky, Indianapolis, Indiana, Shanghai, China, and Hosselt, Belgium. Sullivan, This Is Our Story is partially supported by a grant from the Illinois Arts Council, a state agency.
Oh, I'm happy to tell you this story. It's my favorite story. I've studied county history for a long time, and I keep going back to this story as my very favorite. Once upon a time, about 200 years ago, there were two old friends who were hunters. They were just very crude folks, and they had hunted and wandered all over this part of the state, but they'd never been hunting, apparently, up in what was the southern part of the Grand Prairie. And so their names were Asa Spencer Rice and Jacob McCune. So these two gentlemen started out on the prairie, into the prairie, following an old trail. It was an Indian trail that went back several thousand years. We don't even know where the trail started or when, but they followed the trail into the wonderful, beautiful prairie. And I think it must have been about this time of year, or maybe a little later, because they couldn't see out from the trail. It was bordered by grass, by prairie grass, and those grasses by this time of year were as tall or taller than a man on horseback. So as they rode along the trail, they couldn't see where they were going necessarily. Pretty soon they came on a crossroads of another trail that crossed this trail they were on. And for some reason, the grass wasn't as tall there, and all of a sudden they were sort of on a rise of a hill, actually where the Moultrie County Courthouse now stands, probably, I'm guessing on that. And they could see north. As far as their eye could see was prairie grass, beautiful, tall prairie grass. And right in the middle of this prairie was a huge lake. And in the lake, it was just full of ducks and geese and whatever you can imagine. And of course, on overhead, I'm pretty sure there must have been an eagle screeching, because along that lake was a grove of trees where there was an eagle's nest. Now, as they looked, there was a little point of timber that went out into the prairie over on the right side. That was what we now call Asa Creek. And it was beautiful. So here these crusty hunters stop, because in our county history, it says that they stopped, and Asa Spencer Rice said, "Oh, of all the country I've seen, this is my choice." Now that tells me something. It must have been beautiful to catch the attention of an old, crusty old hunter like that. And his friend, Jacob McCune, said, well, then we'll just call this Asa's Point. So that's how Asa's Point got its name. Now Asa's Point became Sullivan later, as time went on. But there was absolutely nothing there except for this beautiful view and where the two trails had crossed. So many years later, about 10 or more years later, there still wasn't a town at Asa's Point, at where Sullivan now is. There was one, however, not very far off. Nelson had been there since around 1830, and it was very close to where Asa's Point was, about 3 or 4 miles southeast of here. Nelson was next to an amazing river ford. It was the best ford between Cook's Mill and Shelbyville, completely gravel covered, a good, wonderful, solid bottom. And 3 other trails converged to cross the river at that point. So it was obviously a good place for a town, and that's why Nelson got started, because of that river ford. The rumor was that Nelson would be the site where 2 railroads would cross. And back when they were talking about the railroad crossing, the folks at Nelson thought it would be a good idea if we started a county. It passed in the legislature to have a county in 1843, and they even had a name for it. They named it Moultrie, after a Revolutionary War general, but still no designation of county seat. So the 2 contenders were Nelson and Asa's Point, where, as I said, there was absolutely nothing. So when they were forming the county, deciding on the county seat, the people up in northern part of the county around Lovington and over around Bethany, Marrowbone, said, that's too far to go to be Nelson. Let's have a new place, a different place. And that's why Asa's Point had an advantage, because there was nothing there. They could all have a fresh new start to form a county seat. So they declared, the vote was taken. After 2 or 3 votes, they chose Asa's Point. They immediately renamed it Sullivan, and Sullivan officially started in 1845. Now, that was 175 years ago this year. We're celebrating our 175th anniversary as a town.
I wasn't around in 1965, but the The word I heard, there was a team started about September, and they had a meet, and there was mostly local individuals that were swimming. Prior to them doing that, they brought a college team to town to demonstrate to the public of what a competitive team could do. And that kind of, I think, encouraged the local youth to want to be participating in a team sport. So the original team was a Sullivan competitive team, which was boys and girls. And so in '74, there was a move to switch it to the Sullivan Blue Dolphins. And since then, that's what we've been known for throughout the state. Part of the swim team in Sullivan is the fact that you're teaching a very disciplined sport. You're also making it fun, but you're also going to be educating them on what hard work is and how it's going to affect them. And so, you know, the good and the bad and what you can accomplish if you keep working hard at it. And, you know, I push these kids based on their ability, but I want them to realize what they can achieve if they really work hard at it. The team's important to the community of Sullivan, just the fact that it's teaching kids how to swim. It's teaching a life skill that they can leave Sullivan, come back to Sullivan, but it's something they'll be able to use all their life. And so when I see or I hear questions about what is it, you know, Blue Dolphins do, I think it opens kids' minds to experience new things and to challenge them in a way that they can take it with them going forward in whatever they do with their life. And then in the process, we do a lot of community stuff, and one of the things we do is we do a veterans drive in January for the local Legion that they take to Danville to the VA. I've noticed over the years, in the last 10, 15 years, that we've actually started drawing kids from a 30-mile radius. So it used to be a local team, so when we say we have 83 kids, but it is a surrounding 30-mile radius that these kids are coming from to be involved in a program that has had success, which something's right if they're willing to drive that 30 minutes to get their kids to a pool.
The Moultrie County Courthouse, this is our third courthouse. 1906, the Historical Society has put out a book on the courthouse. The first courthouse was built in 1843. It was brick, and Abraham Lincoln practiced law in that building. And later in years, in the 1990s, the Lincoln Project went to all the courthouses in Illinois that Lincoln practiced in, went through all of the clerk's records to find any Lincoln artifacts, and the only one they found in Moultrie County was one. It was a promissory note for $50 that Mr. Lincoln was owed for his legal services. $50 in those days would have been a huge sum, so we don't know what he was accused of. And he had paid $30 on it, and Abraham Lincoln's signature is on the bottom of the receipt, and that's now at the Lincoln Presidential Library in Springfield. When the Lincoln-Douglas debates, the 8 debates of the 1858 senatorial campaign were held, one was held in Charleston on a Saturday. The following Monday, both Lincoln and Douglas were in Moultrie County, both scheduled to speak separately, each claiming they didn't know the other one was going to be there. And a slight disagreement arose as to the time, so they supposedly arranged that Douglas would talk up at the courthouse at 1 o'clock, and Lincoln would postpone his speech at Freeland Grove until 3 p.m. The Lincoln supporters started marching around the square with their brass band and turned north to go to Freeland Grove, and the crowd listening to Senator Douglas up on the courthouse lawn was out in the streets, and the Lincoln parade kind of went through there, and some brickbats were thrown, and the horses were unmercifully beaten. According to the Republicans, the Democrat story is somewhat different. So that was the excitement there. But that courthouse burned in 1864, which is why most of the records were lost. The second courthouse was built. It outgrew its usefulness. In 1904 to 1906, our current courthouse was built. It's now on the National Register of Historic Places.
What I like to say is, if you've not come here, you've not experienced the best in entertainment. Right in your own backyard. Founded in 1957, a gentleman named Guy Little Jr. He lived here in town. His family was from here in town. His father was a farmer and his mom was the English teacher at the high school. He decided when he graduated college that he was going to open his own theater. So he looked all around central Illinois, in Decatur, in Charleston, in Champaign, and settled on here because there was a movie theater here called the Grand Movie Theater. And it was closed during the summer, and the gentleman who owned the theater had a drive-in movie theater on the edge of town. So Guy talked to him and set up a deal. And that year, 1957, he did 9 musicals in 9 weeks, which is crazy. So it took off. Guy started bringing in stars off of what we called the straw hat circuit at the time. And that was TV and movie stars from that time period would learn a show. They'd learn a role in a show. And so if they learned Dolly Levi and Hello Dolly, they would come to different theaters across the United States, knowing their lines, having costumes, all in a trunk. They would travel and they'd come here, get here on Sunday night. On Monday, they'd have rehearsal with the cast who had already been rehearsing, and Tuesday, the same thing. They'd open on Wednesday and run it through Sunday, and then they'd go to the next place. That put Sullivan on the map. It was, this little Midwestern town, and then all of a sudden, you're able to go to the grocery store or to any of the restaurants in town and see these stars from TV. It was a big deal. We didn't have the tabloids and the internet and all those things at that time, so people were flocking to Sullivan so that they could meet their favorite stars. And over the years, we had over 300 stars come through here. We changed, so we're not bringing the stars in now that are known. We're bringing what we call future stars in. So people who have started in the business, graduated with a degree in musical theater from somewhere, and have started working professionally around the country. Some people have worked here, have been on Broadway, have done national tours, a lot of them, but we are giving them, a lot of them, their first big break in professional musical theater. A young lady who has now made huge hits in Broadway and also on the West End in London, Marisha Wallace. One of her first professional jobs was here. She did many shows here for us, and the most recent thing that she's done is she was Effie White, the lead in Dreamgirls in London, and now she's in Waitress in London and is getting ready to do Hairspray. When she was on the Tony Awards performing for the first time, I was watching, and of course I'm a sobbing mess, watching her, this good friend of mine, perform on the Tony Awards. She was with the company of Aladdin performing. And I called to leave her a message and thought, I'm gonna congratulate her. It's not a minute after she's walked off stage. And she picks up the phone. And I go, what are you doing? She goes, what are you doing? And I said, I'm calling to congratulate you. She said, I saw that you called and I had to answer. So those are the relationships still that we're able to have with these people. It's amazing that this little community has this amazing thing for 63 years now. We have an 11,000 square foot production studio that we're able to build all of our sets right here. We have 250,000 plus costumes that we have here, and everything else is built right here on site. There's not a bad seat in the house. I've sat in every one of these seats over the years, just checking things out. Millions of people have seen shows here. And that's just amazing to me that we played almost 50,000 people a year. They get to feel like they're a part of the show because we're not any bigger than that. We have a little over 100 kids in our dance and drama program. We teach 23 classes every week during the school year, and then in the summer we do a summer camp called Broadway Boot Camp, which kind of gives them a roundabout experience of getting to sing, getting to act, getting to dance, and just performing for their audience or for their families to come in. And it's so fun to watch those kids be able to build confidence, build friendships with each other. They feel like they are a star here, and that's so important to me, to let them feel like they have their community, their place here. And I mean, when you look around and see this beautiful facility in Sullivan, Illinois, it's just amazing that it's here. And that is 100% thanks to donations that have come in from our patrons and from businesses throughout the area. Town of 4,400 people. You drive anywhere in or out of town, that's all you see is cornfields, all the way to Decatur, all the way to Mattoon and Charleston, all the way to Effingham. And you get here and here's this like shining beacon with the lights of Broadway right here in our own little town. So we truly are Broadway in the cornfields.
Yay! We know you all are enjoying these wonderful, amazing stories that these storytellers are telling about their charming town in Sullivan, Illinois, town of 4,400 people. But my goodness, you can tell from the stories you've just heard what a great town that it is. And I'm so excited that they persevered with us and were determined to get through these past 7 months or so and to be able to share their story with the world. So what we need you to do tonight is pick up the phone, call the number on your screen, and talk to these storytellers. They are just chomping at the bit to talk to you tonight. And they want to hear your voice and take orders. So please pick up the phone and call and get your DVD now.
That's right. We've got Mayor Richard Glazebrook and his daughter Amanda Glazebrook. They're both storytellers that you will hear later on in the program. We did hear one story from Mr. Paul Stone back here, but he's got another one to share with us because he's a major historian for the town. We also have Steve Jenny over here, and they're all here to take phone calls from you to get your DVDs tonight. So who's going to be the first caller? We want to challenge you to be the first caller right now. We're going to try to get 10 in this break. We're going to be with you for about 10 minutes, and then we'll get back to the show. But one copy of a DVD is $75. 2 or more are $60 each, and this is part of our fundraising campaign. All of the storytellers are helping us this evening because we rely on the public, and we're relying on you to call in right now.
We really are, and these make the best gifts. So if you have family members that you know would just enjoy listening to these stories, hearing these stories of this town. Woo,
there's our first one.
Steve Jenny's answering the phone. So if you do have family members and you think, man, I want to get them something special because the holidays are coming up soon, and I want to get them something special as a gift that really is something they can treasure for years to come. Well, this is your chance to get this DVD of 17 stories, 16 storytellers. I mean, it's going to pull at your heartstrings because you're going to be almost in tears one minute because it's so heart-touching, and then the next minute you're going to be laughing because it's the funniest thing. And it's the rich history of Sullivan, Illinois.
There's our second one right there. Let's keep them going. Yes, absolutely.
Woo, yes.
So we heard from Janet Roney was the first story, how Sullivan started. What a beautiful story she told. And then we also heard about the Blue Dolphins. I've got a challenge that I'm going to put out to the Blue Dolphins because there were a lot of people in that story.
There were
If you were ever part of that swim team, the Sullivan Blue Dolphins, you know someone who was in that, you have a child who participated in that. You will want a copy of this DVD because more than likely your child or you are part of that story, and you can have this DVD to keep forever, to show to family and friends because you were part of the Blue Dolphins and it made a part of Sullivan history.
Oh, yes. And you know, the last story that we just heard was Broadway in the Cornfields. And what an amazing story that was. And you know, the great thing is that's where we did all of the stories, was right there on that little theater stage. We had all of our storytellers come. We did the social distancing and the masking, and they were able to come and sit down on that beautiful couch and tell the world their story. And Little Theater was just a great place for us to go and have our red carpet premiere where we just last week showed all of the storytellers the stories. And so I know that you are really loving these stories tonight, and they are great stories of a great town, 4,400 people, but they are just such a charming group of people in a beautiful, charming town. So I know that you'll be blessed if you get these DVDs for you or a loved one. One DVD is $75. 2 or more are $60 each. That is a bargain.
It is.
You know?
And you know what? If there's 4,400 people in this town, you know who the storytellers are. Small town knows everybody.
Exactly.
So we need you to call in and support your friends, your family, your colleagues, your neighbors. And call in and get a DVD, 1 or more, it's up to you. Like we said, these are great gifts. We've got 2 phone operators standing by right now. Amanda is here, and also Paul is back here. He was another one of our storytellers that we just heard from. They're able to take your phone call right now. Steve is also available, and if I get a chance, we're gonna talk to him, but if his phone keeps ringing, we're gonna let him keep ringing.
I love it. You know, and Steve was telling me earlier when he got here that he saw John England earlier today, and John was telling him that they're opening up the American Legion there in Sullivan tonight so that people in the town can come together and watch Sullivan, This Is Our Story. Isn't that the coolest thing?
Yes.
So as you're sitting there, I know you got a cell phone. Pick up that cell phone, call the number on your screen, and tell us how much you love these stories and support your town. Like Kean said, 4,400 people in the town. I think we can have all these phones ringing all night long.
Yeah, we should.
And our storytellers are wanting to talk.
They are, and they want to hear from you. And I want to give a shout out to our first phone caller, Barry from Sullivan. We want to thank you, and I believe he might be related to Judy, one of our...
Judy Featheringill.
Yes, Featheringill.
Oh my goodness.
So
I think it might be
much.
Judy's husband. That's so sweet. I love that. Get the family involved. That's what we want. This is a family affair tonight. So Sullivan, we need to hear from you. I know there are family members probably that live in other states that are watching tonight on our Facebook. And please call and show your support for this wonderful little town called Sullivan, Illinois.
You know, I also want to shout out some thank yous to our underwriters for Sullivan, because without your funding, we wouldn't be able to make this show possible. So thank you to Metro, Country Financial, Friends of Sullivan Athletics and Academics, First Mid, Hydro Gear, and always thank you to the Illinois Arts Council as well. We want to thank the mayor and the city as well as the Little Theater, because that's where all of our production, our meetings, everything took place as well. We did have a group of champions that helped get this off the ground, and we want to thank all of those as well. You'll see all of those names in the credits at the end of the show, but you got to stick with us, and you need to call in right now.
That's right. 1 DVD is $75. 2 or more are $60 each. You cannot beat that kind of a deal. And be able to sit for days and just watch each story. And it's just been phenomenal to get to work on editing these stories and getting them ready for this DVD to be finished, a finished product for tonight. And my goodness, what great stories about this town and the history and the people and their love for their community. Yeah. And you know, one of our storytellers that couldn't be here tonight, Bill Hagan, he just loved being a part of this. He just says, I feel so honored that you would let me be a part of this. And he said, I would love to be there tonight, but for health reasons, he couldn't be here. But he got some DVDs, and he said, I want to share it with my family.
Yeah,
so
thank
Bill,
you so much,
thank
Bill.
you. And I wish you a speedy recovery and that you get well soon, and that you just enjoy these DVDs. And I'll be sending these DVDs out starting tomorrow.
Yeah, we're ahead of the game.
So cool?
We're ready to go. We just
it.
need you to give us a call right now. You know, there's been a lot of different things go on in the past several months, but tonight is a celebration. It's a celebration of Sullivan, and we need you to celebrate with us. And when you call in, we know that you're supporting the folks in your town, that you're enjoying Sullivan. It's your hometown. You may have grown up there and moved away and you're watching it somewhere else. That's okay. We can ship these DVDs anywhere you need us to ship them to. If you want to make them as a gift, we can ship them as a gift as well. There you see it on your screen. 1 DVD is $75. 2 or more are $60 each. So you can go online and order if you want to, WEIU.net, but we're live in the studio tonight to take your call.
That's right, and if you call, you're going to get to talk to these storytellers. And you might even ask them, what was it like to do a story for Sullivan? And tell about your town. And I know they'll love to share that with you. These phones are ringing. This is so great. We love that. And we're excited about it.
Okay, I have another shout out here. We have Sue from Kokomo, Indiana, is watching tonight and ordered 2 DVDs. Thank you so much, Sue. We appreciate your support.
Yay! So you be the next caller. Pick up the phone and call
you can
us
switch
and let
phones.
us know
It's okay.
that you are really enjoying these stories that these people have shared. Just such sweet people that, you know, even through all this past 7 months and having to deal with all of the difficulties that our nation, our world has dealt with, and yet they were determined, you know, to come together. I love this.
I know.
This
They
is
just
so
said, the
cool.
caller that just called in said, hey, they want Paul Stone to take my order. I said, it's
Oh
okay,
my
switch
goodness,
phones.
that's
And
so
then somebody wanted to
great.
talk to Amanda. But we also need to thank Jason Drury. Jason called in to order DVDs. He's
that's so
the
great.
storyteller for Sullivan Blue Dolphins. So he started that challenge
yeah.
off. He's the coach. You got to get those phones ringing for Jason.
That's
He was a
exactly
storyteller,
right.
and he does a lot for that community.
Oh my goodness. And it is such a great community, and I know these stories are going to touch your heart. And I'm telling you, even the people of the community, as they were sitting listening last Thursday for the red carpet premiere, they were coming out saying, I've learned new things about our town tonight that I didn't even know, and I thought our town was so small, and I thought I knew everything, but really, I've learned a lot tonight. So, and we hope that's how you feel when you get to watch them tell these stories and just look at how this little town began and how it came to be and how much they loved their community.
You know what? I think I'm going to ask Steve. Steve, you got just a minute? Okay. Steve is one of our storytellers, and I want to talk to you for about 30 seconds here. I'll let you finish doing what you're doing there because Paul's on your phone. But if his rings, you're going to have to answer it for us, okay? All right. So Steve Jenny is going to be telling a story later on about a famous barbecue sandwich. And this story has gone on and on and on. Did you think it would ever come this far? And where do you think it's going to go?
You know, I wish I could sit here and tell you that when I picked that sandwich up and when I was 14 years old, that I knew I was going to wind up on the Tonight Show, and I knew I was going to wind up writing a book and making appearances like this, but no, none of that happened. I didn't plan any of this, but it's all been fun.
It has been fun. Where do you think it's going to go? Because it's the story that never ends, right?
That's right. It comes up every now and then, especially this year, 60th anniversary.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and we had a barbecue out in Wyman Park with some select friends, and the media picked that up.
Yeah, that's fun.
No vice presidents, but I was there.
Well, hey, you were there, and you've made quite an appearance across the nation with this famous sandwich that you'll be seeing later on in the show. We're glad you're here tonight. Steve.
Thank you very much.
Really
Thank you.
You.
Yes, Steve came all the way from Springfield, so he drove the distance to come and be here tonight just to share his love for Sullivan with the world. And I mean, so you pick up the phone and call and talk to Steve and talk to Mayor Glazebrook, talk to Amanda, talk to Paul Stone. I mean, these are amazing people that are here to take your call tonight. Yes.
Yeah, we've got Joe on the phones, it sounds like. We're going to give shout outs to everyone that calls in tonight, and we want to thank you because we are a public broadcasting station and we rely on you to give us the funding to do what we do here, to bring you the shows that you love and to produce programs like this. We're a little bit different from some other PBS stations around in the area because we can produce local programs. Our schedule's a little bit different and allows us to do that. But we broadcast to 22 counties across East Central Illinois and partly into Indiana. But we're streaming to the world tonight and we're sharing Sullivan, the little town of Sullivan, 4,400 people, to the world tonight, and we need you to support them.
We really do. So please pick up the phone and call us. One DVD is $75, 2 or more are $60 each. You just can't beat that deal and get to share this with your loved ones, these amazing stories about this little town called Sullivan, Illinois.
We've got a few more stories coming your way in segment 2. We're going to hear from Amanda Glazebrook and the girls basketball team and the American Legion 100-year anniversary. They've got 3 parks in Sullivan that we're going to hear about, or they had 3 parks, they've got 2.
Yeah.
The Nixon and Buffalo barbecue from Mr. Glazebrook, as well as Steve Jenny's famous sandwich.
Oh.
So all of those stories are coming your way. If we didn't get a shout out to you, we will get your name.
Yes.
We will give you a shout out in the next break.
So please keep calling. Even though we're going to the stories, please keep calling because we're going to give a shout out to you when we come back.
Absolutely. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Sullivan. This is our story right now.